Welcome to the Tea Mind, and for those of you that are new around here, I'm Erica, and this is the podcast where we pause, put the kettle on, and reconnect with what really matters. Each episode is your invitation to slow down and explore how something as simple as a cup of tea can become a gateway to mindfulness, mental fitness, and a more present way of living. We'll sip our way through practical tea routines, powerful insights, and heartfelt stories. Some weeks it's just you and me, and some weeks we'll hear from inspiring guests. But every week it's a chance to recalibrate, to pause, rebalance, and thrive. So grab your favourite mug, breathe deeply, and join me in the art of living with a tea mind. Okay, so hello and welcome back to the Tea Mind podcast. And today we're not just having tea, we're stepping into a story that really smells like lovely warm scones and it feels like a place you can call home and it tastes like legacy. My guest today is Ashley Harley, the Chief Operating Officer of Mimi's Bakehouse. It's one of Edinburgh's most beloved family-run bakeries. And what you're about to hear isn't just about cake and tea, it's also about courage. Because back in 2010, Ashley's mum, Michelle Phillips, did something that most people would call crazy. She ended up selling the family home to open a little cafe in Leith without a safety net, no vision, just lots of heart and a whole lot of guts. And since then, Mimi's has become much more than a business. It's a real icon within Edinburgh and further afield now as well. It's a place where lots of generations gather together, birthdays are celebrated, strangers become regulars, a place that literally feels like a hug when you walk in the door. I'm also really honoured that Mimi's has been serving etiquette tea for many years now and really value that relationship. So Ashley joined the business back in 2013. She can keep me right if I've got any of these things wrong, and helped her steer that dream into the future with more cafes and a thriving online cake empire and a team who leads with kindness in an industry that's well known for burnout. So, in this conversation, we talk about the messy middle, the behind the scenes grit it takes to run a feel good brand without losing yourself. And we'll also talk about boundaries, bravery, and how to bake joy into your business and your life, even when the world feels like a pressure cooker. And of course, we also ask how to stay present, grounded, and human when everything around us demands more, faster, and now. So pop the kettle on, take a deep breath, and enjoy our conversation today. So let's dive in. Hello, Ashley. How are you today?
Hello, I'm good, thank you.
Lovely to have you on the podcast.
Thank you. Love to be here. Thanks for the introduction. It always gets me a bit, takes a minute, but gets me a bit emotional sometimes thinking about the last 15 years. So yeah, really appreciate it.
Exactly. Yeah, it's good to look back and just see how far you've come sometimes. Because,
No,
yeah,
for sure.
especially when life's busy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let's rewind back to the start then. Tell me about your early days and anything that's relevant for now.
Just remember, really, like I grew up Edinburgh born and bred, so really happy childhood. And my mum and dad both grew up in and around Edinburgh. So we grew up in the south side, near Blackford Hill, and just baking and cakes was quite a big part of our growing up. Even from like I think my mum learned to bake from her granny, but then my paternal grandmother was a big baker. So just being surrounded by, and I think we say now that like what someone said like a celebration is not a celebration without cake, and we've stole that line from Mimi's. But actually, when I think back to my childhood, I think back to like Halloween, Christmas, birthday. Like there's certain bakes that like are associated with those times. And even like birthdays, like I used to get upset. One of my youngest memories is being upset that my mum baked my birthday cake because I wanted a shop bought cake because I wanted like a princess or a Mario cake or whatever the theme that I wanted. I was upset that she was baking my cake, and I'm like, God, what a spoiled brat. Uh, how lucky was I to have a Mimi's birthday cake? And actually, I was 37 last year, and Gemma, my little sister, who's our head baker, she recreated my seventh birthday cake, which was a classic rectangle with like water, chocolate icing, flumps around the outside, and then happy 37th birthday Ashley in white. So I have those
Oh,
side by
brilliant.
side cakes that I absolutely love. So yeah, cake, it turns out it's a bit of magic, and it's something that when I think back to my childhood, I do think a lot about cake, which then led us to Minis, which is quite cool. So yeah.
And what did you do first of all? Because before 2013, when you joined the business.
So I left school at 17. I had it in my head that I wanted to go to university. We went to Barnmuir High, and back then it's interesting. We work with schools a lot now about what's that called, that middle 60. So you've got like the 20% really smart kids and the 20% really disruptive kids, and then you've got this middle 60, which was myself, my siblings, who weren't going to go to uni, or and I felt quite ignored. Like, I don't think really. I think they're getting better now. Schools, we work with something called the JET program, which tackles this issue about these kids that are just kind of like, to a school like Barrymuir maybe seem to be not the one, not going to get them the top results and whatever. But so I just felt a bit disillusioned by 6 year, and ended up leaving and joining as an administrator into a construction company, which was amazing. And that felt like my uni, just to be 17 and working in quite an adult environment. I was like, these are my people. I always say to people in school is hard, harsh environment, and not everyone. When people say school's the best years of your life, it's not. Like, they're lying. School's horrible. It was stressful, and you were young and discovering yourself. So I felt like the workplace really was where I found who I was and who I wanted to be. And then fell in love. Oh, that boring tale. With a man at work, and then at the age of 21, we moved to Dubai, to the Middle East, for 5 years. Um, Quickly had my heart broken, and didn't end up with him. But actually, those 5 years were quite significant to me. So I met my husband, met some of my closest friends, traveled the world, had some amazing experiences, worked in construction and then in events. So then when Mimi's opened in 2010, I was still out there. But from like 2011, like I was like, I want to go back to work in the family business. I kind of knew that, and I knew that my life experiences that I was gaining and the work experience, I could bring something to the table. So when I first came back, I was very much the events person, and kind of bringing that extra income to Mimi's that's been quite significant to this day. So yeah, so I was out in the Middle East, and then moved back in November 2013. Yeah. And that's 12 years ago, which is wild.
Wow, I know it's crazy how quickly it goes.
Yeah, no, it's mental.
And what was it that made you that was so attractive about going back to work in the family business?
Honestly, it was just my mum's and my siblings, my brother-in-law at the time's like gut and determination. Like, my mum started her life. My mum and dad had a restaurant in the 80s, which they gave up to have kids, because restaurants and kids don't really go well together. Like, again, I think it's maybe changing now, but to have two kids and run a successful restaurant on Clark Street, which is called Bruins, they knew that was never going to work. So my dad got his black cab license, and my dad was a black cabbie for 20 years. And my mum didn't work for a while, and then ended up in school meals. So my mum was a school dinner lady, which was a great job if you've got kids, because you get all the holidays. So that worked really well. And then she ultimately ended up working in smaller, like a small hotel, which was my first job when I was 13. And then my mum set up and ran with a lady called Gaynor Loopy Lorna's, which was in. Did you do the tea for Loopy's as well? Was that? No, I don't
Um,
think it was.
no, I don't think it was. No, but
No,
I remember
no.
Loopy Lorna as well.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
mum set that up with Gaynor, and they were at Morningside and then Churchill. And I think at that point, mum was like, I can do this on my own. So I think what made me want to move back was just my mum's sort of gut and determination. And yeah, they sold their family home, they put everything into it, and just I just felt like I was missing out. And I also genuinely believed that I could bring something to the table. I knew that I had a good drive, and I was a good work ethic that my mum had created for me, and I knew that I would add something and sort of bring something which was maybe a different angle. With, as I said, I joined in November, and we did our first event with Underbelly, who I still work with, a lady called Ruth Fisher, that I have a really good relationship with. We worked together December 2014. So it was like 11 months later, we did our first big event. They done a few events, but our first big event was Edinburgh Christmas at St Andrew's Square. So that was pretty huge. I remember sort of feeling like, yeah, if you can generate income from, or like without too many more extra overheads, that's obviously ideal, where you've got a bakery that has capacity and stuff. And I kind of spotted that. And we also started trading at RBS Goberburn that year. We pop up there, I think that was the next year, but we pop up there every Thursday, and we still do that to this day. So that's just at its 11th anniversary, actually. So a couple of key pop-ups and relationships, and I believe a lot in relationships and people and who you speak to and things. So like relationship with people like Ruth and RBS have like stood the test of time, and we're still banking with RBS and working with them, and we're still working with Underbelly. So yeah, I knew that I could bring something to the table, and I knew that I just had FOMO, basically. I was missing out, and I wanted to be part of it. So yeah, but I'm so glad I did, and it feels like a lifetime and a month all at the same time.
Goodness, yeah, it's just there's so many things there. But your
Yeah.
mum, she just sounds like a real formidable person.
No, she really is. And my mum, when my mum opened Mimi's, she got diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, like MS, like about a year later.
Oh
Um,
wow.
and she's not someone that's defined by her disability. And we've been talking a bit about recently and doing some work with MS Scotland, MS Society in Scotland about like, and I remember my mum telling me that she was diagnosed and what that meant. And actually looking back, it has been quite formative, but also just showing you that like, so my mum's not one of these people that's like defined by disability. She's like, look what I've achieved despite having MS and like all the things that you can do. So that's been really revolutionary and just being really inspired by her in terms of like growing up in not the best area of Edinburgh. Coming from not very much and sort of wanting to get out of that and push yourself forward. So that's always been sort of part of it. And I also, we're the second generation, and I recently learned from another family bakery the term like saying like we're the custodian of this brand. So I feel like now we're like looking after it. Mum's created something, we're like looking after it to pass on to the next generation. So, and that's really important to me, what it means to look after mum and dad. And mum's still works in the business, but not as frequently. She's also the president of Scottish Bakers Association, and she, will wants to retire in the next few years. And I think just like looking after her and making sure that that legacy is stands is a big responsibility. But because yeah, we really admire her and everything she's done, it makes it easy to know what the vision is and want to keep up the good work of what she started, basically.
It sounds like there's really strong core values at the heart of Mimi's and at the
Mm,
heart of your family as well.
yeah.
Like, how would you describe those values that you sort of live and breathe every single day?
I think it's getting harder in business. As you pointed out, like hospitality is a really difficult place right now. And unfortunately, when you're a company that does pay minimum wage or is tacked onto minimum wage, you can get sort of, you know, bogged down in that and the sort of day to day nitty gritty. But and also when you go from a family business that was just the family working one shop to a family business of five shops and things, I think it is really challenging. I think we do it. Our core values are making people feel warm and welcome. People will comment and say, "Oh, you didn't do that in this shop," or "I didn't have that in that shop," and that's really difficult. It's challenging to like filter that down, but we've always said like you can teach anyone how to make a cappuccino, but you can't teach anyone how to be a nice person. So mum used to say about a hug as you walk in the door, but for me it's just about that warm welcome and realizing that people are going through a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that's going on in people's lives, whatever it is, external factors, the economic climate, or just their life. So I think we just give them a bit of our hospitality. And clues in the word, we're in hospitality, and our employees are just amazing, and we've got people that come and work for us for just 6 months or a year that have such a big impact because they're maybe like we had a girl leave just yesterday who's going to join the nursery sector, so that's what she wanted to do. So hospitality was always a stopgap. So appreciating that your stopgap staff are still like this person only been with us 6 months, and I went in and made sure and gave her some flowers and said goodbye because I was like, you have everyone's always like teaching you things and learning, and you're like learning back. But yeah, our core values of just making people feel warm and welcome. And mum was very keen to have a daytime business only. Like we do the odd event and some of our events go in tonight, but in general we are a daytime business, and that means a lot to us that people can have hospitality is known for long crazy hours and things, but we are a 9 to 5 with occasion of fringe and events and things, but always asking people if they want to work the nights rather than telling them they have to. I think that's part of it, just the creation of work life balance, which as a business owner or runner is very difficult at times, as Erica knows as well.
Mhm.
But try to fill that down to your staff and making them realise the importance of having their evenings and days off and not being bothered and stuff. I think that's really important because then they come in and feel much more in invigorated, like energized, and want to kind of put the effort in. So yeah, I think around like warm welcome, caring for our staff, we as I say, things are quite tight at the minute, but we always make sure we pause and recognise staff anniversaries. When people have been with us more than 2 years, they get like a cake and a bottle of fizz, and we celebrate them and make sure we've put quite a robust induction process in through Rebecca, our office manager, to make sure that people feel welcomed and our values are quite well known. We have like a staff bulletin, so you can have your values, but it's how you communicate them, which we're working on, which is I think an ongoing challenge. That C buzzword, communication, which works both ways, doesn't it? But that is a challenge of you can have all the core values you want, but how are you disseminating them to your staff and your customers? And I think we try to do that best we can, but it's always a challenge.
Well, it sounds like you're doing that amazingly well, and I think the
Mm,
care and attention to detail that you show your staff really shows through because
mm,
every time I walk into Mimi's, it is like that. You just feel embraced and instantly
mm.
calm, and I think it's just amazing. Some of the, I guess you must have lots of stories from people that have had sort of major life events coming into Mimi's to celebrate and
Yeah.
yeah, meeting people and whatnot.
No, we love, especially our 10th anniversary was the first time we properly paused and took reflection of that, and we crowned like our ultimate Mimi's customer, and we like gave them a big hamper, but we wanted people's stories, and my people are like, I had my hen do, then my baby shower, then my kid's first birthday, and that kind of thing. And like I always say as well, like any day can be a celebration or a commiseration, but like yes, there's the big milestones, but also it could be a Tuesday and it's that person's first cup of tea since losing their husband, or it could be that it's a Thursday and it's that young mum's first outing out with their newborn baby, and those are big milestones. These are just as important as someone's first time out the house without their dog that they've just lost, or anything. Like they're just as important as the big milestones. But I remember when I had my son in 2019, I remember pivoting because I hated baby classes. I found them like just ridiculous. I just was like, what is this? Like baby sensory? Like what is this? Why am I paying £11 to throw some tinsel on my son's face? Like I didn't get it. So when I came back to work after my son was 5 months old, I decided to set up my own baby class. Really selfishly, so I could see my baby once a week. So, but in Mimi's Leith, we opened the back room, we put some blankets down, we chucked some toys in. I used to read a story to the kids, and we created a class that was about the parent and the carer. It was about it was £5, and for that you got a really nice cup of tea, obviously, or a really nice cup of coffee, and you got a little cake, and you got some chat, and it was I was really adamant that it has to be reasonable, and it was about the parent or carer, not about the kid, because they are fine. And do you know what? A trip to the shops is a baby sensory class. They don't need tinfoil in their face. So I just had this vision of creating something that was about the adults, because I just feel like at that stage you can feel quite lost and lonely. So yeah, I was really proud of that, because I feel like that kind of instills our values in terms of like, yeah, putting care and attention to every day or just a normal day, which can mean a lot to people. And I really enjoyed when we did that, and then it kind of fell away because of various different reasons, but it's still something I think about a lot, that I think has a nice impact. And I met somebody at a birthday party, my son's a sixth birthday party, who said, I know you. I used to come to your baby class. I was like, wow, no way. And now our sons are in P1 together. So yeah, Edinburgh's a village. People come back around. So yeah, you've got to keep your values and keep true, because you never know when people can step back in your life, which is funny. So yeah,
Exactly. Yeah, no, that's really interesting. And I guess the theme that runs through all of that is connection and just the power of connection, which is
yeah,
why spaces like Mimi's and just sitting down for a cup of tea and a slice of cake is so
hmm,
critical.
yeah,
And yeah, you do never know what someone else is going through.
no,
So having those interactions one-on-one with customers day in, day out, that's why hospitality and these sort of third spaces are so, so important. And we need to do everything we can to keep them for the future and make
yeah,
sure we've got lovely family businesses like yours for the
yeah.
future because they are critical and connection is one of the strongest health factors as well. It's
Oh,
the thing that
interesting.
has the biggest impact above everything else, even above
Yeah,
smoking and um sorry, I'm actually have some dogs with me today, so
yeah.
excuse if you can hear the one
I could
snoring
hear
very
them.
loudly, the
I
other
think,
one's
to be fair, Erica, I'm glad you paused it. It sounded like you were promoting smoking. I know what you meant, but you said something about almost as good as smoking. And I was like, is Erica saying we should all take up smoking? I don't think you were, but that's the way it
so
kind
just
of
to
sounded. So
clarify.
yeah, just to clarify, the negative impact of not connecting versus the negative impact of smoking. That's what you meant.
Exactly. Yes,
Not that we
exactly.
should all start smoking. That's not what Erica meant. Yeah, just to clarify.
Yeah, so one of the biggest things you can do for your health above stopping smoking is
Stop.
connecting with other people or
Not
getting a dog.
or get a dog, which is also connections. Yeah, it's funny with connections, because I believe in connections. There's so many connections in running a business. There's your staff, your customers, your management team, and your suppliers. And one of the things I'm really proud of with Mimi's is when I joined Mimi's, we'd used this tea brand for a long time that on the surface looked like an indie independent tea brand, and we're not going to mention them because we're not going to give them that credit. But actually, they're owned by one of the biggest tea makers in UK, Europe. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Mm.
And I was really keen on like I think like having your like being really proud. And we've always used like Ramsay garlic bacon, Crombie sausages, made our own bread, local eggs, and then we had and I was like, this doesn't make any sense. So like I was quite instrumental in changing our tea and coffee providers because our coffee was a Glasgow-based sort of company, which was then bought by a larger European company, and our tea. So when I met you, I was like, yes, this is the tea for us, and you and the
Mhm.
team, and things are so. I remember, was it lockdown when I came to the shop, and you were with
Oh
your daughter,
yes.
and I was like, so we pivoted online, and we were doing afternoon teas and cream teas, and we'd run out of tea bags, and Eric, because you have somebody's number and because you're connected to them, a lot of big suppliers, well, one, it would have been possible, and two, you would have said absolutely not. But Erica said, yeah, come to the shop. Let's see what we've got. And we like raided the shelves for like bags. So
That's
that
true.
was about connections. You could have told me no. You could have told me to go away, but you didn't. You said, and that was, I believe, because of the connection we have. And you were like, no, I'm going to help this person because obviously, ultimately, it means that you make the sale. But ultimately, I don't think it was about that. It was more about like, if I can help, I will. And we were a bit like that as well for like last minute cake orders or anything. So yeah, working with yourselves and Machina, even that, like you, Machina now stock you guys, right?
Yes,
I'm
indeed.
not saying that was
Yeah.
because the Mimis, but you know, kind of like you make these connections and things happen, and that's always I'm always quite proud of that. Like how what I'm not really that spiritual, but I believe in like a series of events. So I believe in like one thing leads to another, and so yeah, it's something to be proud of is the connections that you make on all levels when running a business.
Definitely, I wholeheartedly agree, and that's something that you're especially gifted at. And I
Oh,
remember that time during lockdown. I think it was I was meant to be homeschooling the kids, so they were
mm-hmm.
doing some sort of they had to go into the
No, but
tea room.
we decided that that was a good lesson for her because she was
Yeah,
learning about business and margins, and she had to count the tea bags, so she was doing maths, and you know, like
exactly.
yeah,
Oh, I
so
tell you, they
yeah,
learned so much more then
yeah,
than they would have done in whatever
yeah,
primary they were in then.
yeah, exactly,
I
yeah.
remember launching the tea bags at you because we couldn't get too
Oh
close,
yeah,
so we
of
had to
course,
sort of
yeah.
chuck them at you from a
I
distance.
think I think there's 78 in there. I'm not sure. We've got, yeah, you were literally giving me like half bags, full bags, like little yeah, whatever you had. So yeah, it was
Oh,
appreciated.
goodness. Those days. Let's
Yes.
never go back there.
No, please stop.
But
Yeah.
I guess every cloud has a silver lining. So
Mm.
is that what made you think about pivoting more to online and doing the online cake things that you do now?
Do you know what? We were extremely well positioned for that because we already had all that. So we had vans, we had a website, we were doing online, but it was maybe like 0.5% of our business or like 1%. It wasn't a big part of business at all. And we just felt like I don't actually have decided to sort of stop believing in luck so much, but we, you know, had the infrastructure in place that my brother-in-law Scott had put in place that allowed us to pivot really quickly. And we like it was Mother's Day when that got announced, and we called all our bookings and just sort of committed to doing these afternoon teas at home. And we did 700 afternoon teas at home that weekend. And that was the weekend when Boris had stayed at home. But because food and drink, and even that, like as an indie business, you were like, oh, I can't do that. And we're like, hang on a minute. If Domino's can trade and Pizza Hut can trade and Tesco can trade, then we can trade. And we luckily had just taken on our external bakery. So we had a huge big space, the staff could social distance. And yeah, it just was about sort of acting quite quickly. I think like there's times to be slow in business and there's times to be quick. And I think we pivoted quite quick in a week of thinking it was all over. And then actually we were like, well, hang on a minute, we can do this. So it taught me a lot about pivoting and stuff. And honestly, like the last couple of years have been a lot harder for our business than COVID was because COVID was quite unique trading circumstances and everyone was at home. And I don't want to repeat that for everyone's, I think it had such an impact on everyone's mental health that we're still feeling to this day. But the last couple of years have actually been a lot harder with just the cost of living and utilities and all the things that have happened, which has meant that actually trading right now feels a lot more challenging. But pivoting and finding new niches and finding ways to generate income, whether it's pop-ups or online or gifting and things, is always been our mantra. Because our cafes are our bread and butter and they're the bulk of our turnover, but ultimately these other things that add in is what can really make a business kind of profitable and or even just break even is always the aim now because of all the taxes you have to pay. So
Hmm.
just allowing us to put in spaces and bringing that joy of Mimi's and the joy of cake to more people and a bigger audience has been quite a pivotal sort of turning point for us, and we're sort of growing that back up again. So yeah, it's fun and it's been an enjoyable part of it. While the shops are quite challenging, this can add extra revenue, which actually makes things a bit easier. So yeah, it's exciting to be part of.
Yeah, I would echo though. I'm seeing just with other wholesale businesses that we work with as well all over the UK, it really is difficult times at the moment. And we
Mm,
thought with COVID and Brexit, all the changes there, that
yeah,
yeah, I think it's really impacting now and it's really hitting home to a lot of people, especially with all the
definitely.
national insurance changes and yeah,
Yeah.
utilities. It's non-stop, isn't it?
It's non-stop. And what I would say is back to the theme of connections, which seems to be our theme. Back in November, things were really challenging down at the shore original site. So in August, we decided to half it in size. We used to have a 100-seater restaurant, and we decided to give up one of our leases to somebody else, which ended up going to Barry Bryson, who's opened the amazing Barry Fish, which we were really proud of that. But then we hit January, and it was honestly one of the hardest months we've ever had. And then I sort of saw it coming. So in the November, December, I decided to start a shore business collective, and I decided just to put myself out there a little bit and email all the businesses around about us and say, hi, we're kind of struggling. Are you as well? And honestly, the last 5 months working with that group has been a revelation. And myself and Erica have sat in other really great sort of networking connection things. And I used to think networking honestly was a load of nonsense in terms of like, what am I getting out of this? What am I achieving personally, professionally? What am I giving out into the world? But that group has really changed my perspective. And we first just being open and honest. Everyone's saying, "Yeah, this is really hard. Yeah, this is really hard. Are you finding this hard? Yeah, me too." The power of that has been insane. And I tell the story a lot. There's a cafe 2 doors down from us that until January I'd never stepped foot in. I'd never walked through the door, and I just walked in and said hello and introduced myself. And now, just a couple of weeks ago, Eddie, who runs Cafe Truva, invited me in. He was making hot dogs, and he went, "Come in and have a hot dog." And I was like, "What? Sure." And honestly, that's been so powerful. And then the group just last week, we had a meeting with some senior Edinburgh City Council leaders about how challenging it is to run a business, and they were listening to what we were saying. And we have an agenda, and we have points that they've taken away. And so, yeah, again, connection. Like, don't ever feel like you're alone, because I think you can always find your people, and whether it's for us, it's challenging because you've got so many networks. Potentially, you could go down the F&B space, or me and Eric have met at like women in business events, or there's the like baking side for us, or different neighborhoods that we're in. So it's always hard to find your people, but when you do find people that you click with, it's really powerful. And I think that's been really a big thing of this year, which has allowed us to just be more open and honest and say this is really hard. And
Yeah.
yeah, but we'll get there. We'll get there. It'll be fine.
Do you think there's been some sort of shift this year? Because it feels to me like more and more people, more business owners are being a lot more honest, open, and vulnerable,
Yeah.
and just not going, oh yeah, everything's great, blah blah blah, I'm doing
Mm,
amazing. But people
yeah.
are a lot more honest, and I think they're getting much more reciprocation in the same light.
Yeah.
So yeah, you have a lovely WhatsApp group as well that you've sort of introduced me to, and that's been really interesting. There's just people that are sort of sharing different stories and yeah, just like you're never going through it alone. There's always people that can
Yeah.
help. And I've seen that
Yeah.
with other businesses within Edinburgh as well, sort of
Mm,
getting in touch with the council and instead of just worrying about things and keeping it all bottled up, sort of being open and asking for help, asking questions and
yeah.
finding people that will listen and action is happening. Things are sort of moving
Yeah.
forward. So
I wonder if
yeah.
that shifts come from the amount of businesses that are closing. Because, like, if you think about it from a personal level at home, next time you go to the supermarket, how much it is for milk and eggs and chocolate, and minimum wage has an impact on us because as that goes up, that impacts the cost of a cappuccino and the cost of a tea bag. So double that, like times that by five for me. He's like got five shops, and your utility bills times that by five, and so the cost of it. And I think everyone's just like I'm a bit like that. Enough's enough. Like I'm not working this hard to for this to go under, for this to not happen. And so many businesses are failing. And two of our biggest competitors closed down last year for cakes, and that genuinely makes you sad. And you reach out, and there's a group in Edinburgh called Egg Edinburgh Gossip Girl, which started as a Facebook group, but now Kylie and her team are moving more into business. And some of her events, me and Erica were at a breakfast where there was tears and all sorts, and it was just
Yeah.
Kylie's got this ability to put like-minded women into like-minded spaces and make you feel quite safe that you can be in different industries. And I don't know where that shift came from, if it's just because whatever people are feeling at home, times that by X if you're a business owner. And for me as well, if you pay your council tax or your business rates, I now look at councillors like, well, we are technically your boss because we pay your wages. That's really crude and loose. I don't actually mean that, but you get what I'm saying. So
Yeah. Hmm.
ultimately, I'm not a businessy person. I'm not someone that turns up in a suit. I swear, I cry, and I don't really care. I don't care if people are judging me or thinking ill of me. I think, well, no, no, I pay my council tax at home and I pay my business rate. So you kind of have to listen to me. Like, they don't have to. And like, if you're shouting and swearing at them, they're not going to listen to you. But if you just ask them for help and reach out a hand, then ultimately that's what they're there to do, is to run our city and run our councils and provide better schooling, business environments, tourism hotspots. Like, that's all part of their mantra, and their ethos links with what you're trying to achieve, and you can help them. Then why not? And I was just speaking to a teacher yesterday about what's going on in schools at the minute with lots of budget cuts. And did you know, Erica, that in East Lothian Council the teachers pay for their own tea and coffee? Did you
Well,
know that?
I do know that because my husband is now a primary school teacher,
Of course he
and
is.
it's
Uh,
yeah,
Isn't
whole
that
of the world.
Isn't that wild though? Like, and I'm not one like to feel like I'm not one. There's some very hard jobs out there and people doing some, like, not to focus on one group. But I just, when I heard this fact, I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean you pay for your own tea and coffee? Like, I know that you're a government body, but like, surely there's money somewhere for teachers to have a cup of tea and coffee. Like, it just blew my mind a little bit. I was like, what? And
Mm,
I know that with all the other issues, like, I just think, like, would us parents not like our teachers to have a nice cup of tea and coffee while they look after our children? It just kind of blew my mind. I didn't know that, so I just thought actually the council as an entity has got its own challenges. So if we as business owners and residents of our cities and towns can lend a hand with our ideas and things, and isn't that a good thing, rather than shouting and screaming at them, actually just to say, oh, hey, I've got this really great idea that I think could help, and they go, never thought about that before. Again, back to connection theme and relationships and things. So I just thought that was really interesting. And yeah, maybe people just be more open because they realise that, what have you got to lose? Because you could
exactly.
could
Yeah.
lose you could lose everything anyway. So why not just be open and honest and see what happens? And good
Yeah.
things can happen.
Yeah, I think it's got that hard for a lot of people that, yeah, people are
Mm,
it's like when lockdown happened, we had no choice but to pivot and do something else really, really quickly. And now I think
yeah,
we're just like, yeah, let's shout out,
yeah,
like speak
yeah.
up, ask
Well,
for
I was
help.
I was at a food and drink conference run by our bank, RBS, last summer, and a very senior person in commercial banking got up. Were you there? Were you there that day?
No.
No, very senior person got up on stage and said all the wonderful things that we're doing for F&B businesses, their customers in Scotland. And I just put my hand up and said, you don't do any of that for me. So I just decided to run. I ran. My sister was like, I've never seen you get up quicker. I put my hand out and I said, hello, nice to meet you. I'm one of your customers and you're doing none of that for me. And honestly, she was obviously a bit like taken aback, but I just called them out. I just called out their nonsense. I was like, nah, you're not getting up there and saying you're doing this when you're actually not. And I believe in series of events. So because of that, I pushed for a meeting with a very senior bank manager, a guy called Kevin, who I have so much respect for, and actually just made banking personable. And then we got on a program called the Accelerator Program, which is run through NatWest and RBS, which is an incredible program of support, coaching, training courses, all sorts of things. And then through that network of people, I found out about this competition, which I can't speak about yet because it's confidential. But I found out about this competition, which was for entrepreneurs. I entered, and we just found out we came second, and have
Wow.
won a significant investment in our business, which we've never had before. And I believe that came from that series of events of me just putting my hand up and saying, hang on a minute, no. And also, I'm not working this hard for this to fail. So I just think there was a series of events that happened, which led us to this competition win, which we found out was last Friday, and we'll be public in a week's time. So I don't know. I just believe in, like, shaking your stick a little bit and making a bit of a noise because, what have you got to lose?
Fantastic. Well done.
Yeah,
That's an
thanks.
amazing achievement.
Yeah, so excited.
And yeah, wow, that really does highlight the power of connection and serendipity and all the little steps and just
Yes.
trust in the process.
Yep, for sure.
So what's it like to work with, because you've got your sisters in the business as well.
Mm.
What's it like working with family members like that?
It has its moments. Uh, I think I think it helps a lot having kids because we all have children. I've got one, my sister's got two, my other sister's got one. And I think we're quite good at switching off in certain environments. Like right now, things are quite hard. We struggle a little bit and work does kind of creep in. But if we're at Dalkeith Country Park having a play, or if we're, at a play park, then we're not going to sit there and talk about business while our kids are running up asking us for an ice cream or needing their nose wiped or whatever. So that's been really pivotal for us, just having those moments where, and also at the same time, I don't mind my son. My son's tagged along on cake drops and different things because I think it's important for them to see how hard work it is and what goes into it, and how
Mhm.
being custodians of the brand, that's coming to them one day, and things. So yeah, it's really hard. I think just having that separation of work. Me and my young sister play netball together every week. Me and my other sister were just out at a concert. Like we hang out together quite a lot outside of work, but just not really holding grudges. And I've kind of been made like the boss, so that has its moments. But I'm quite a bossy leader person, so that was kind of like my sisters were happy for me to kind of take that role and kind of see my skill set in that. And we've all got, I think that's we I learned from another family business that turns over way more than us. He was like, stay in your lane. Like, you've all got your lane, so just stay in your lane and come together when you need to come together. So I think that's really important, just having those lanes, staying in them, but like recognizing that they're your sister first. So you can tell them one thing and they're not going to get offended because they realize it's coming from a place of love. And yeah, like I would honestly recommend working with your family because it it's you all working towards the same goal and everyone's in the same space, and that's really amazing. But it has its challenges and it's difficult and it's really not for everyone. So yeah, it's interesting, but it's exciting, and like I really enjoy it. So
Yeah, I just think Mimi's is so much stronger because of those family bonds. I think it's really hard
yeah,
to replicate that outside of a family. Not impossible,
mm,
obviously, but it just gives you
yeah,
something else, something extra. You can't
yeah,
just up and walk away. You're kind of in it for
yeah,
the long
yeah,
term, and like you say,
yeah,
custodians of the brand, I think. So
yeah,
that's got some real weight,
mm,
which yeah, must be
yeah.
very, very powerful and helpful at
No,
times as well when you're going through tricky times. You're all in it together, working towards the
yeah,
same goal. So
no, exactly. And yeah, it has its moments, but in general, it is a really really nice place to be. So yeah, I enjoy coming to work every day, and not everyone can say that. I think that's what I ask my sisters. We meet most Mondays and we say like, "How are you feeling today? Are you enjoying your job?" And it's always yes, or we do have a tricky week, but yes, like, and not everyone has that. And I think people as well that say like, "Oh, job is just a job. Don't live to work." It's like that's easy to say sometimes, but unfortunately, if you're the main breadwinner, or your job is important, and there's gravitas in that. Like we can't really most people can't live without an income. So you can say all you want, like, oh, it's just a job. But I personally couldn't work in a job that I hated, that I rocked up every day and didn't love, because ultimately you do spend a lot of your time there. It is important. It means that you can buy a home or rent your home or furnish your home or have holidays or look after people or gift things to people. So, it means a lot, and the fact that we provide that, we have 90 staff who do all those things because of what we've created, is not something I take for granted. And ultimately, yeah, life's too short to work in a job that you hate. Like that, I couldn't do it. But I don't think I don't agree with it's just a job. Like, no, you've got to love it. You've got to like what you're doing because you spend a lot of your time doing it. So, yeah, really lucky that I like my job, love my job.
exactly. Yeah, no, you're
Mm.
right. We spend so much time working, and it's the
Yeah.
lines between work and personal life are very blurred nowadays. So it's
Yeah.
really, really critical. I just wonder when everything sort of gets too much or you're in that pressure cooker, what sort of do you have a go-to sort of reset button or anything that you do regularly to help you reset?
You taught me about the power of a cup of tea. That was at an event. You taught me about the mindful, and I think I had this theory that, so I am Ashley. I am a wife. I am a mother. I am a sister. I am a daughter. I am a friend. I am an employer. I am a boss. Have I missed any? I don't think you can be good at all those things every day. I have this theory that I struggle to be good at all those things every single day. So I just think sometimes something's got to give, and just being a bit more kind to ourselves. And I have this theory not everyone agrees with, as a working mum, that the most important person in my life is me, then your partner, if you have one, and then your kids. Because if you don't invest in yourself and you don't invest in your relationship, then you're not going to be a very good mum, and you're not going to be very good. So, like, I do think that you have to have a bit of self care. And honestly, as a busy working mum, a cup of tea, Erica taught me that, is that mindfulness moment. If I don't have time for anything, I sit and make a cup of tea and I try not to be on my phone and just stand and kind of like enjoy that process. That's one. I also play netball, which I absolutely love. I play it every Monday. And actually, when I moved to Dubai, that was the first time I ever played netball. And I did that because Dubai was quite a male heavy place. So it's quite a lot of, I worked in construction. So I knew a lot of men. I didn't know many women. I really wanted to create some strong female relationships. So I joined a netball team. Never played in my life. I'm quite tall, which helps. But now every Monday I play netball, and even if my husband works away quite a lot, I'll get a babysitter to go play netball because that is my hour of the week. If I get no overtime in the week, which I do, I love music, I love concerts, I love going out with my friends, I love wine. So those are my other moments. But like if I don't play netball, I kind of feel it that I've not done that, and it's good exercise. It gets your heart and chest pumping, and you're like running on that court, and you're part of something. My team is like my sister's in it, my best friend, my auntie was in it, and it's kind of that like moment of the week where I'm like, this is for me, nobody else. I am choosing to be here and show up. And when you're on a netball court, you can't really pick up your phone. You can't. You're not really available. And I think it's possibly the only 45 minutes of my week that I'm not available, which is kind of wild. So like being less available sometimes there's power in that. But yeah, when you're on a netball court, anything could be going on and you wouldn't know. So I would say that's probably my moment of the week where I feel most myself, and I'm like, oh, this is for me, and it's nice. It's a nice feeling. So yeah, if you
Yeah.
can take up some sort of hobby and activity that's just for you, if you can make time 45 minutes a week, and I think that's really important to me.
Yeah. And again, if you can do it with other people in a team like that, then
Oh, we're
yeah.
back to connection. Yes,
Oh, so
yeah.
it's
Look at
so
that.
powerful.
Yeah, no, it really
Uh,
is.
I wholeheartedly agree with your assertion that you're the most important person. You have to look after yourself first.
Yeah,
And I see so many people doing that, not just women, men as well, just
yeah,
putting themselves last. But yeah, you
yeah,
do have to look after yourself and you have to give yourself permission and get over those guilty feelings like, oh, I should be doing this, I should be doing that.
yeah. I
It's
actually just
so
messaged someone.
important.
So someone people hate televisions in bedrooms, right? Which that's fine. But one of my favorite things to do on a Sunday morning is my son gets into bed, me and my husband, and we watch like something on telly together. And somebody posted about having a telly in their room and feeling guilty about it. And I don't believe in guilty pleasures. That's not a thing. It doesn't exist. And I was like, this person runs a bakery, right? And they're a very busy person. I said to her, if your pleasure that you get in a very busy week is lying in your bed watching some rubbish on telly, then that's okay. Like to create a space in your manic world where you get to just be you. And her wording, she said like, "Oh, rot in bed or something." I was like, or be peaceful and present in bed and just be like lying there and just enjoying something mindful, like or like mind, like takes your mind away. Like there's nothing wrong with that. And that is one of my things I love to do. Is just yeah, sit of a morning and stay in bed a little bit longer than not that I should, because who says how long I should stay in bed? Like I can do what I
Exactly.
want. But yeah, like that is something I really enjoy as well, and even just like taking that extra bit of time on skincare. Like me and my mum pals call the supermarket a spa day. We're like, going to the supermarket is a spa day because you just get to be yourself. And like when I go to the supermarket, I go down every single aisle, every single time, because that is I love shopping. I love any kind of shopping. And I love supermarkets and just seeing what's there and like looking at the trends and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, you can, and it's so temporary. Being a mum of a young kid is very temporary. And your kids are a bit older than mine. So you'll know like how quickly that goes. So I just feel like I'm in this temporary period of my life where I don't have much time to myself. But he's 6, so in like 9 years, he's going to be not wanting to hang out with me as much. So it's so short in my whole life. So I'm trying to enjoy it and enjoy those little times because actually, in like a very short amount of time, I will have way more time on my hands. So I said to my husband, I hate my garden. It's tiny, but it's got nothing in it. And I'm like, I'm going to take up gardening. And I went, hang on a minute. I'm going to take up gardening in 10 years' time. Like for now, it's fine. It does the job. And I will be a gardener when I've got more time. But right now, I just enjoy my wee pots that I've got, and that's it. But I'll put that on the back burner for now, but make time for the other little things. But if something's got to give right now, that's okay. But as long as you're making time for the other smaller things, it's important.
You are so wise.
Oh,
Totally
try.
agree
Tell
with
my
that.
son. Tell my 6-year-old that I'm wise.
Wise, mummy. Yeah, I just think it's really funny how we were kind of in our heads, we're like thinking we've got to play by these rules, like working
Yeah,
9 to 5 and doing all these different things. Like who made up those rules? Like the
yeah,
world has changed. We can change. If you want to
yeah,
stay in bed and do whatever in the morning,
yeah,
then do that. Get up when you feel like it. Do what you feel
yeah.
like. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
there's
especially and 9 to 5, like like if you work for like Mimi's or you have a shift or you're a nurse or you're like you have to be certain places at certain times. But when you've got your downtime, like there's no rules, and that's when you know, like if you've especially got a job like mine or yours, we have to show up for things, then show up. But when you don't have to show up, like whatever your time is, whether you work 4 days a week or five, or whether you have 2 days off a week, whatever you have, like make that, yeah, put yourself first. Like my good friend Nat, who has 5 children, who is a hero,
Wow.
taught me about not making an excuse. So if you said to me now, oh, Ashley, would you like to come paddleboarding with me? And I really don't want to go. I just say, no, thank you. Stop
Yep.
talking. Whereas us Brits, we like to say, "Oh, no, thanks, Erica, because I don't really fancy it," or no, no, just say no because you don't want to. But you don't have to explain yourself. Just say, "No, I don't want to do that," and that's okay. Like that's putting yourself first. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I actually would give paddleboarding a go, but you know, let's think of something else. Um, you know, that just yeah, put yourself first when it comes to those things that are filling your downtime, and you know, filling up what makes you happy, and yeah, if there's a weekend where you just want to be in your own space and not see anyone, then you shouldn't have to be apologetic about that.
Yeah,
I am quite a
exactly.
people person and I like people and things, but even someone who's a bit of an extrovert, there is times where I'm like, oh, I just want to be in my house with my husband and my son, and or even not, they're out or whatever. Then that's okay, and just don't be yeah, be unapologetically yourself because yeah, we only get one shot at this. Depending on what you believe, that's what I believe. So yeah.
Exactly.
Mm.
I'm curious what's your view on work-life balance? How does that work? Because yeah, like you said, you can't be everything to everybody all at the same time. So
Yeah.
yeah, how does that work in your life?
Do you know what? There was an entrepreneur recently. I can't remember who it was. I listened to a lot of like big entrepreneurial podcasts and business podcasts that kind of said when you're running your own business, I don't think work life balance actually exists. And I don't know if I believe it. I don't know where I am with it, but I just believe that effort in and effort out. Like I do think there's times where, like right now, we're finding business quite challenging, and I'm working quite a lot. But if you know, like what I would say is if you're employed by somebody else, know your value. And if you're working more than you're paid to, I speak to a lot of my friends about this where they say, oh, I stayed back and did this, or I worked this many hours. I'm like, well, did you get paid to do that? No. Well, don't do it because if you do 12 hours worth of work and 9 hours worth of day, then like our managers used to be on a salary and we switched them to hourly because we felt like they were all working too much and then the hourly rate actually becomes illegal. So you know your worth. If you, as an employer, I don't believe in work life balance right now because our business is going through some challenging times, and I've got to put in a bit extra effort. So, but that's okay because that's for the greater good, and I believe in quality time. So, if I work a Friday, I drop my son off at school on a Friday, and I'm supposed to be off, but I choose to work those 3 hours. That means I will spend the next 3 hours with him, a lot better headspace and a lot better person. So I believe in like quality time over infinite time. And I
Hmm.
think I can maybe get, there's a really famous book, is it like 4 Hour Working Week or something it's called, where
Yeah.
actually I think you can get there, but
Hmm.
you have to have good foundations and you have to be in a good place financially for that to happen. So like when your business is struggling, you've got to be willing to, or like when things are a bit more challenging or there's lots of things going on, you have to be willing to put an extra effort. But if you're an employee, I truly believe in like know your worth, know your value, work your hours, work the best of your ability in the hours you get paid, but do not work for free. Do not do crazy overtime and don't get the recognition because otherwise that will just always be expected of you. And you get, I have this work with teachers who choose to stay back 2 hours marking. It's like if if you don't have the time to do that, then you just go to your head and say that because ultimately if you keep doing it, like be the change in whatever the issue in your industry is because otherwise nothing's going to change. So I think as your employee or an employer, there's slightly different answers, but I think in general, just know your worth and know that whatever you're doing, if it's for something bigger or a deadline or whatever, then that's okay. But if it becomes a constant and you're not feeling valued, then that's when you should stop and really think about if your work life balance is right for you in that moment. And it can be different depending on what, where you are in your journey.
Yep. Wow. Totally wise words. Yeah.
Yeah.
It really is about valuing
Yeah.
yourself though, and
Yeah.
yeah, really appreciating yourself as well and not trying to please
Yeah.
everybody else. Make sure that you are happy first of all,
Yep.
because then everything else flows from there.
Yeah.
Um,
Exactly.
and yeah, I much prefer the term work-life integration than work-life balance as well,
That's, oh, I'm going to
because
steal that.
there's
That's
no
nice.
sort of it's changing all the time, every single day. And
Yep.
I like to sort of work in seasons or like 90-day chunks. So like
Mm.
at the moment we are really, really busy. I'm focused on working really hard. Sometimes I go back to work and do a little bit in the evenings, or I'll get up early on a Saturday and do some, but that's my choice
Yes,
because it's a bigger picture thing. There's
yep,
projects that I really want to make happen, and
yep,
I need to create the time to do that. And I think that's good for kids as well to see that
yeah,
I'm really
yeah,
passionate about something and
yeah,
putting everything into it. But then I'm working really hard now so that for July and some of August we can take it off as a family and go traveling hopefully and
yeah.
yeah, have different life experiences,
But they'll
which
see the value. The only, my son's only 6. I'm trying to teach him that, like, that stuff. Your socks don't just appear on your feet. Like, your
mm,
holidays don't just happen. Like, you have to. I don't think 6-year-olds quite get the value of money yet, but they do understand that one thing only happens as a result of another. And and a team, like, we are a team, right? So whatever your team is, whether it's just you or you and your partner, or you and your partner and your kids, or it takes a village, and they need to see that. Yeah, it doesn't. As I say, I think I'm a better person for putting that work in when it's needed, but then showing up, you know, trying not to miss the things, the key milestones. I was at sports day, but then I left sports day and ran straight to a meeting and didn't win the mum's race, which was sad. I thought I was going to
well,
win, but
at
I
least you
didn't. I
did the mum's
tried.
race.
Exactly. I tried. I tried my best. Yeah.
And I'm just always in awe of how much you're innovating and doing new things and pivoting and adding things on and all these different partnerships and collaborations and different connections that you're forging at Mimi's.
Mm,
Where do you get all your ideas for this and how do you keep showing up and making it happen?
I don't know. I don't know. No, I do. I think again, back to relationships and connections, so important, and things lead on to others. Just having the external bakery, and seeing the challenges of running a physical store, it's like you just need to put energy into other things, like being innovative with your space, meeting other business owners. I've got a meeting tomorrow with Mademoiselle Macaron, who we work with, about her space and what she does and how we can work together on things like wedding cakes. Um, just always being open to anything. I was at a meeting today about a pop up that's happening in 2 weeks. That's just again as a result of relationships. So I think just never staying still, and understanding, like, Mimi's, the cafes, like, they've been kind of the same for a long time, but realizing that you need to kind of evolve to keep up with trends and things, and being quite present. I've got a lot of friends in London. I enjoy going down to London and just seeing their cafe culture and baking culture. I love brands like Cutter and Squidge and Lola's and um, Crumbs and Doilies, and like seeing what they're doing and like feeling inspired by that. And sort of even things like I love Top Jaw, the podcast about like listening to other hospitality people and just never closing yourself off. I've recently read a book on Disney and their ethics and how they work, and just never. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not allowing Mimi's, like, to not still be here in 15 years time. So I just want it to still be here, and I think to do that you have to keep pushing and creating other little revenue streams, and I think that is challenging, but it's necessary, and I think you take joy out of it. Make sure you're enjoying it, which I do, which helps. And if you're not enjoying what you're doing, then you should really question if and why you're doing it.
Yeah, yeah. Pause, make some changes, indeed.
Yes, exactly.
So if you were to look forward at Mimi's in, say, 10, 15 years' time, what do you see for Mimi's in the future?
A good question. Well, we'll be 30 years old, which is wild.
Wow.
Just still not. Last year we closed the shop. Erica's been through that as well. We have to shop in size. There's heart versus head. I would like Mimi's will still be here. What shape it'll be in terms of, like, some of our cafes, maybe they won't be here anymore, but there'll be a version of Mimi's will still exist. Our biggest revenue stream is our shops, but ultimately there's other revenue streams that are coming through. So we'll still be here. We'll still be welcoming people. We'll still be providing warmth, cake for celebrations like that. Our celebration cake business is growing and really special to us. To be that, celebration cakes are not cheap. You can go. Our biggest competitor now is other bakeries in Edinburgh, but also supermarkets, where people are. What's happening with some supermarket bakeries right now is showing you people can choose to go down that route, and it's a lot cheaper. But yeah, just growth, still being here, still welcoming people, and still being part of people's celebrations, and allowing us to keep adapting and changing, and Not being afraid to say no or this is done. Like having taking opportunities to shut things off or stop things as well as start new things is really powerful. And I think we've learned that this year. So continue to be bold in your decision making and follow your head as much as your heart. And I think we'll still be here. And I'm not sure what will look like. I actually have to write a 5 year plan, which I'm going to do, and I'll report back. But just still be here in some form. But if it looks slightly differently, our core values are still the same, and we talk a lot about making people's day. Still be making people's day. That would be that's really special.
I'm sure you will be. And
Yeah,
yeah, it's so hard to write a 5 year plan because
yeah,
the world's changing so quickly,
yep, yep,
especially with all the digital changes and AI and everything. It's just, yeah, who
yeah,
knows? And I think we have no
yeah.
idea what's coming for us.
I'm really happy. I mean, for me, AI, like when you talk about things, everyone's like, AI can do everything. I'm like, can it can it create warm spaces and serve coffee and tea and afternoon tea? I don't think it can yet. Like maybe robots might be coming, but for now, like that side of our business is safe-ish because ultimately people are still going to be looking for connection and stuff. And I think like I've heard like you can get AI therapy now, right? And things, and that's wonderful, but you can't the AI can't create a warm, welcoming space where people want to come in and celebrate or commiserate or just take a moment or take a breath. So like I think in a world of tech and lack of connection, there'll still be a want for humans to connect, to come together, and that's where our spaces are quite special. So I think that will always still be alive in some shape or form, and whether we are exactly the same, I don't know, but we'll still have that at the heart, and that's really important.
Yeah, I think it's more than important. It's vital. And I think it's going
Yeah,
to be more important than ever going forward
mm,
into the future. We are all
yeah,
going to need that real human connection and
yeah,
show up and have spaces like Mimi's to be able to show up in to be human to human and have that
yeah,
interaction that's we're going to need so much more now than ever. So
yeah,
yeah, so important.
for
So
sure.
yeah, I can't wait to see where Mimi's goes
Yeah,
in the future and all the exciting things and
yeah,
collaborations and partnerships and ideas. And yeah, I just think
mm,
you've got so much valuable advice and wisdom to share with
mm,
people. Hopefully people have taken, I'm sure they'll have taken a lot of inspiration from what you've
mm,
been talking about today and just yeah, leading boldly and following your head and your heart and yeah, just sort of being brave and connecting and showing your vulnerability and
yeah,
asking for help when you need it. And yeah,
yeah.
just working with the amazing team that you've got with you. I just, yeah, so excited to see what you do for the future as the custodians of Mimi's.
Thank you so
I'm
much.
sure you'll be, yeah,
Yeah,
amazing.
thank
Um,
you.
I would just like to end on if you could sort of imagine if somebody's listening right now and they've got 3 minutes while they're having a cup of tea. What's one sort of little ritual or something that you would encourage them to do just so they can pause and reset for a little bit this week?
We have this amazing, and I'm frustrated I don't have the exact wording, but if Erica can insert a photo, I will send her the photo. But one of our staff, I think it was Sasha at Conley Bank, we have a water tap. People help themselves, and it's very, very slow. And people got very, very frustrated at this. So Sasha created this lovely little blackboard, which has got it's like one, take a deep breath. Two, I can't remember what it all says, but it says something like two, pause. Three, take a look at three things around you which make you smile. Four, and it's just five. And it was so magical and wonderful. And I actually, every time I'm in Common Bank, and you can get really frustrated at running this water. So I would just say, yeah, take a breath, take a moment, have a look around you, try find something that makes you smile, and just try be sort of present because I think it's so easy to be floating off. I'm always floating off somewhere else in my head. Even now, I'm on this call, probably thinking about what I should be doing next. But actually, I have really enjoyed just pausing and chatting to you. And yeah, I will send you the photo of this five things because I think it's really, really good. And it's just like that's a wee bit of almost give you like stolen time where you can just have a wee minute and pause and reflect and find a couple of things that make you smile. I think that's there's lots of power in that.
Yes, lots of power in that as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'd encourage everyone to do that. Put the kettle on, have some tea and
Yes.
cake, and just yeah, pause,
I'm
breathe,
finished
and
my tea.
oh
Yeah.
dear, me too. Time for another one. Get the
Yeah.
kettle on.
Yeah,
And
we're
yeah,
on it.
think of three things around you that make you smile. It's a really
Yeah.
good way to start the week
Yeah.
and to yeah, to keep present and mindful. So thank you so much, Ashley. It's been an absolute joy to talk to you. And
Thank you
yeah,
very much.
thank you for everything you've done for etiquette as well and just
No
really
worries.
so impressive. I love working with you as well and get so
Oh,
much inspiration from you. So thank you. And
yeah.
thanks for
Thank
coming on the
you.
T Mind podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for sharing this cup of calm with me. As you move through your day, take the T Mind with you. Pause when you can, breathe, and be kind to yourself. And please follow the T Mind to get new episodes as they land on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, or wherever you get your podcasts. Until next time, stay present, sip slowly, and thanks for listening.